Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to see you all here. This is my favorite place in the world to make music because nowhere do I see more familiar faces, and nowhere do I know people that are hungrier to hear music that I think is beautiful. So thank you so much for being here, and it's such a gift for me to get to bring music to you. I just want to say a couple thank yous before we really get underway. I want to thank Adam and Mike in the booth. They're making us sound, yes, we can clap for them, absolutely. They're making us look beautiful and sound beautiful for my mother, who is watching from Seattle, and my husband, who is watching from Grand Rapids. Hi, honey. So I really, really appreciate that. That's such a gift to me. And thank you to Stephen Michael Smith, who has sort of spearheaded the effort to get this thing off the ground. This is our second concert of chamber music at Shelter Rock. The first concert we did was a celebration of Amy Beach. And we presented her huge quintet for piano and strings. And that was such a fun exploration. It was really amazing to do. So today is something that's a little different. Maurice Ravel. I tried to read a biography of the composer that I feature for each concert that I do, and I confess to you that I left this one unfinished. I turned it back into the library. It was boring. Ravel was so private, he doesn't leave a lot of clues behind. So I was reading Amy Beach's biography, and there's all this stuff of her feuding with this person and championing that person. Well, with Ravel, it's a collection of business appointments, and then he moved here, and you can sort of get a sense of who he was, but there's no lovers, there's no ex-lovers, there's no would-be lovers. There are friends, but he also tended to keep his friends at a distance. He took a house well outside of Paris so that he could come into Paris and socialize on his terms. And I think it's wild that his music is so incredibly emotive because as a person, he was quite private. This first piece that I played was sort of the genesis of the whole project, although it's not a major piece for him. It's the minuet on the name Haydn, and that might be puzzling to some of you. How can you write a minuet on a name? Well, you take the letters of the alphabet, and we have musical notes that correspond from A up to G. Sorry, I think of it as starting on C. That's funny. You have A to G, and then after that you can start again on H, and that would be again an A, and then a B and a C. So you can go the whole alphabet this way. So thinking about what I would say about this whole concert, I wanted to propose that this is a concert of hidden messages. That first piece I played has Haydn's name upside down, backwards, and upside down, and also right side up at the very beginning. That's the musical material that whole piece is made from. And I think it's lovely to see Ravel riffing on Haydn's name because Haydn was a classical era composer. He believed in balance, he believed in beauty, everything was sort of in its place, and he had a very sly sense of humor, as we will see later in the piano trio. But for now, I wanted to dwell on something else that was really important to Ravel, which was actually old music from France. He loved the music of Couperin especially. And if I had you here for 24 hours, I would play Ravel's Tombeau de Couperin, which is a selection of piano works, all written in musical forms that Couperin liked to write music in. But for tonight, I think I'll just give you one tiny piece of Couperin, which is called The Mysterious Barricades. Now, I hear this piece, and I don't really think about driving down the street and seeing a roadwork ahead kind of sign. That's not the sound of it. So in thinking, what are these barricades about? My old harpsichord teacher proposed that perhaps they are the barricades of love. So I invite you to consider that as we hear The Mysterious Barricades by Couperin. Thank you so much. Last time we did one of these with Amy Beach, I wanted to give you a sense of who she learned from. And she didn't have a composition teacher for me to play. She had taught herself composition. And so I played a piece by her piano teacher instead. Well, Ravel also had an interesting relationship with the Academy. In Paris, to be recognized as among the cool kids, you really had to go to the Paris Conservatory. And that was a place that was quite academic. It was really steeped in tradition. It was really a place to hone a certain kind of craft. And I think Ravel was always trying to do something a little different. So the progressive thing he wanted to do was not welcome there. This persisted until a man named Gabriel Fauré took over the leadership at the Paris Conservatory. We don't think of Fauré as being the trailblazer because we know really nice pieces of his, like the Pavane, and the Requiem is certainly a great piece, but I don't think that it's breaking a whole lot of musical boundaries. But as he got much later in his life, maybe spurred on by people like Ravel, who he took under his wing, his music becomes stranger, it becomes more chromatic. It certainly sings, but it sings in a way that the piano had not sung before. I think of Fauré's music as sort of levitating off the ground. So when Fauré took over at the Paris Conservatory, he welcomed Ravel in, and this is how Ravel kind of got the stamp of institutional approval, which actually is make or break for a musician even today. So I wanted to play my favorite piece by Fauré. It's his Nocturne in D-flat major. This is a very personal piece for me because a little more than 10 years ago, I felt that I had hit a wall in my piano playing. I thought I played well, but it wasn't like great, and I wasn't really excited to play. And I chanced upon a friend from my undergraduate days who was a pretty good pianist, but she said, I've made some changes, and I'd like to play for you. And I have never heard such beautiful piano playing as she played to me that day. And I thought, who are you working with? Give me his number. So I started working with a new teacher. His name is Bob Durso. He's really changed my playing. He's changed my life. He's a beautiful pianist. And this is one of the very first pieces that we worked on together. So this is my old friend, the Fauré Nocturne in D-flat. Thanks so much. So I talked about the Academy a little earlier, and this next piece that you'll hear is a Prelude by Ravel. It's a quite minor piece, but I include it because the connection to the Academy is really interesting. This was a piece written for a sight reading exam, which means that the applicant to the conservatory would walk into a room, and the music would be at the piano, and they would play it from there for the panel. There's a couple of tricky spots in it where one hand has to play over the other, which is confusing when you're seeing it for the first time. I am not seeing it for the first time, so don't worry. I also referenced these hidden messages earlier, and I'll get to that in a second, because I also spoke about gifts, and it is a gift to make music here, and I consider it a huge gift to me, and especially to the congregation, that the congregation chose to buy themselves this beautiful new Steinway piano. We went looking, I got to help pick it out. It was one of those miracles of a deal that you sort of only find once a decade. I mean, it was really amazing to find such a beautiful piano. And because I feel it's such a gift to come play it for you every week, I decided that I wanted to take part of my paycheck and give you all a gift. So I commissioned my dear friend Matthew Ricketts to write the piece after that for this concert. It's an homage to Ravel, and there's a hidden message in that. The Prelude that you'll hear, and I'll play these two back to back. In the Prelude, there's the first 5 notes you'll hear repeated as the source material of Matthew's piece. Now, why did I choose Matthew? Well, you know Matthew, actually. He's been here subbing for me in the summers sometimes. But also, I was up late at the bar with Matthew, and I was saying, oh, you know, I'd love to do an homage piece to Ravel, but I just can't find one. It'd be so cool if I could link him to the present day, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, well, do you ever think about the fact that he and I have the same initials? And I thought, I never think about that, do you? And he responded, yes, it's my Roman Empire. At which point I was totally lost. Does anybody know what that means? One person, that's amazing. Okay, so, 2 people, okay, great. So it turns out that there's an internet meme in which people ask men in their lives how often they think about the Roman Empire, and the responses they give are high numbers, apparently, compared to what would be normal, I guess. Anyway, it's Matthew's Roman Empire. He thinks about it all the time, that he has the same initials as Maurice Ravel. So he wrote this Mirror, Mirror, especially for this concert. He finished it and sent it to me on Monday. So it really is hot off the presses. It's a beautiful piece. And I like to imagine that with the title, of course, the piece itself has a mirror image within it. So you'll hear things going forwards, and then you'll hear them going backwards later, which is really interesting. I invite you to listen for that. But also seeing that somebody is a friend of yours across centuries, let's say. So Matthew Ricketts is friends with Ravel across time, in the same way that I feel like I'm friends with Debussy across time, because we have the same birthday. Maybe that'll be a future concert. But anyway, for now, we'll do the Prelude by Ravel and Matthew Ricketts' Mirror, Mirror. And then I'll leave, but I'll come back really fast with the trio. We'll do the Haydn for you, and then after that, we'll have a brief interval. I don't want it to be a really long intermission, so if you've got to use the restroom, please do. But we're going to try to restart pretty quickly because I hear there's refreshments. Okay, see you soon. Thanks so much. While they're getting set up, I just want to take a moment to introduce to you my friend Valeriya Sholokhova. And I think some of you already know Stanichka Dimitrova, who has served as our Stani has been our concert master for a couple of concerts here at Shelter Rock with the orchestra now. So also, she's your mom, isn't she? So we all know Stani. I am really just delighted to have these two amazing musicians with me today to make this music. Stani and I have played Ravel Trio out in Huntington, actually, last year. And Valeriya and I just played it together at Summer Trios, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. First, we're going to do this Haydn Trio, which is in C major, which I had actually never heard of before. It was presented to Stani and to me when we were doing this concert last year, and we were both like, well, we could do a Haydn Trio we already know. It doesn't have to be this one. And it had to be that one. And we still don't know why. But I'm so glad because it's so inventive, it's so fun, it's so full of the characteristic humor that Haydn often has in his music. How can music be funny? I think it's a really interesting question because we all know when it is funny. We all sort of get the joke, but I couldn't really tell you from here why it was funny. So I hope that you'll laugh with us, and I hope that you also recognize the idea of formal balance and symmetry and all these things that make classical music sound really classic. So this is the Haydn Piano Trio in C major, number 27. So this is the Ravel Trio, and this is what I have planned this whole evening around. I'm just curious, how many of us have been to a classical piano trio concert before? A fair number. That's really impressive. Yeah, excellent. And for how many of us is it our first time hearing a classical piano trio live? Oh my God, that's so great. Cool. Well, all are welcome. I'm going to say some nerdy things. I'm going to try to make them sound as not nerdy as possible. So one of the things I picked up in this biography about Ravel is that people sort of what's the word? They criticized him for his total perfection. He really only wrote one piece of a specific genre. This is the only piano trio. There's one cello sonata. There's an orchestral suite for ballet. And he sort of went through, but you won't find collections of preludes like Debussy has or four ballades like Chopin does. But each form he took is perfect, and this is perhaps the most perfect piano trio of them all. And somebody resenting his utter perfection called him a Swiss watchmaker, which was actually not so far off the mark because his grandfather had been Swiss and had been a clockmaker. I don't think that this was known to the writer of that statement. You'll hear in this piece that there's a lot of music that sort of works like clockwork. There is music that's presented separately and then together, and it sounds so different when you hear them separately. You think, how could that possibly go together? And yet, they fit together like gears in a clock. You'll also hear things from Ravel's past on his mother's side. His mother was Basque. I was debating with myself, how do I say that before? And I looked it up. It's Basque. It is, I promise. She was Basque, and the Basque dance rhythms are famously asymmetrical. So you'll hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's quite jazzy. You can never quite tell where it's going to land. The music kind of wafts in this way. Personally, I like to think of this piece as having sort of seasons. The slow movement is the third movement. It's a Passacaille, which means there's a repeating bass line that the music is built over the top of. To me, that sounds like the winter. And right after, we'll go directly from the third movement into the fourth movement. You'll hear this incredible harmonic sound in the violin and the cello. And that, to me, sounds like the rustlings of the beginnings of spring. But we're not starting there. We're starting in the middle of summer, which I think is appropriate because here we come, summer. The first movement is full of dances and full of adventures, and the second movement is a pantoum. A pantoum is actually a form of Malaysian poetry in which two ideas are developed in alternation. So the music does just that. It does this sort of music and then that sort of music and then this sort of music, and finally they come together in a moment where I'm playing in 4/2, which means there are 4 very long beats to a measure, and they're playing in 3/4, and they line up every once in a while. It's an astonishing moment that really belies belief. And I think of that movement as a kind of fall harvest dance. So here are 4 seasons of Ravel's piano trio.
Thank you.